and Casey not proving to be as effective in the longer tier game, and we can see probably how game 1 would have gone versus Jaedong had Jaedong survived that rush initially. Casey making a couple of almost schoolboy Terran errors, not really calculating his opponent's defenses. I don't think I saw Comsat scans going off before he committed himself with those medic and marine groups versus those Sunkens, but really going in versus 4 Sunkens even when they aren't in the line, and he knows his opponent's got a heavy Mutilus group wandering around. I don't think it's a very wise strategy, and really he's just given the game to GG Play, and I think GG Play would have to play appallingly from this point, or Casey would have to produce something extraordinary and special to come out with a victory here. I'm sure he's looking to get that science vessel out sooner rather than later, and I think it's time GG Play produce a couple of Scourges. So Casey now trying to push out. GG Play is going to be able to flank him here and keep him pinned back a little bit. So GG Play has got a couple of Scourges out. I don't think he should send them in by themselves into Casey's base, because Casey's got loads of turrets positioned all over, so he would just lose those Scourges. I've still not seen the science vessel out yet, although I'm sure that Casey's close to producing it, and you can see the starport working away there, and GG Play has got those Scourges positioned right over that starport, waiting for the science vessel to put up, but unfortunately his timing wasn't on the money, and he wasn't able to catch that science vessel as it popped out, in case he's able to bring a couple of Marines in to defend it. GG Play has got a massive force on the ground. He's had no harass, excuse me, he's had no push, no pressure on his third gas, his 4th expansion down at the 7 o'clock position, and his tech is producing well, and this science vessel is key here. If GG Play can find a way of taking that science vessel down, even perhaps sacrificing a few of his Mutilus in the process. Casey meanwhile looks like he's getting almost his 8th racks up. He's got his science facility up, and now Casey looks like he's ready to effect a little bit of a push and try and use that choke, which allows him to hit both the natural and the mineral only expansion of GG Play simultaneously. He's going to try and use that choke to his advantage here, and try and pressure GG Play, and that might be the only thing that might allow Casey back into the game. But GG Play has cleverly built a second sunken line further up, and GG Play has now got that hive clearly up and running because he's producing that Nidus Canal, and he just needs to buy himself a little bit more time and slow his opponent down. GG Play now coming in with the lurkers, and Casey not moving those siege tanks back. This is careless by Casey. He's going to lose a couple of his siege tanks. Casey loses a couple of siege tanks. He manages to hold off GG Play's Mutilus force, but he's forced to pull back and seize those tanks. So GG Play successfully holds off Casey, and I think he killed about 2 to 3 siege tanks there, and that's going to hurt Casey big time. He wasn't able to take out the science vessel, though that was crucial. GG Play keeping the science vessel alive. He's got the dropship up and running though, but I think Casey's got the Nidus Canal, so he's not going to be too worried about the dropship, because he will be able to fray those units, and one dropship on its own, I'm not sure if it'll be enough, and GG Play playing cautious StarCraft here, and it looks like Casey's going to use, Casey once again trying to push, GG Play getting the flank on, GG Play trying to get some lurkers burrowed in to try and catch those Marines off guard. T-Matrix goes off on the siege tank, and Casey manages to save that last siege tank, but he's lost most of his push force, he's lost most of the medic Marines group he has. GG Play still with about 7 lurkers, and a large group of Zerglings producing reinforcements at will. Casey's got that dropship out, but it's not really doing anything. I think a second science vessel would have been more useful in this situation that Casey finds himself in now. Casey now producing another command center. GG Play this time is going to try and take that science vessel down. He doesn't manage to kill it, but the siege tank goes down, so Casey's left without a siege tank. He's going to, I think, probably be switching to a bio-build soon, but he doesn't have the science vessel fleet that he needs to do that. GG Play is lucky that Casey hasn't focused on producing more science vessels, so you've got a dropship waiting there, doing nothing for Casey for the last 3 or 4 minutes, and yet another siege tank gets taken down. Brilliant by GG Play. He takes out another siege tank, and really at this stage, I really don't see how Casey's going to be able to come back in and take the win here. Casey now venturing forward with a dropship. He's going to undoubtedly try and find GG Play's 4th gas, hoping that if he can take that out, he can stem the flow of GG Play's relentless Zerg hordes, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that. I don't think he's going to actually be able to do much damage to, and Casey this time managed to lose his science vessel. GG Play finally killing it off, and I have to say, though his Scourge Micro hasn't been the most effective, GG Play hasn't really given him a lot to defend against, but I think those 2 Sunkens along with the Nidus are going to be more than enough as GG Play pushes further and further. He's got the Defilers up, he's got the Swarm up, and Casey doesn't have nearly the number of science vessels that he's going to need to be able to defend against this. So Casey aborting his drop. GG Play is now also going to be aware of that dropship, so any surprise that Casey might have been intending to provide has gone. Casey cleverly bisecting his forces, dividing up his forces. Casey this time dropping the natural expo off the 7 o'clock expansion, and killing off the Hashi that GG Play was trying to build there. GG Play sending in a group of Zerglings and Lurkers to take back that expansion. I don't think there's a single medic there, and that dropship is going to get caught off by the Scourges. One Scourge hits the dropship. I don't think the dropship has any units to defend the second Scourge hits it, the dropship gets taken down, and you can see the sweat pouring down Casey's face, the consternation and the sweat. He knows this game is gone, and really, once he lost that first group of medic and Marines, it was going to be very, very difficult for him to come back and put the pressure that he needed to be able to, and you can see the difference between a player of GG plays flashes caliber in a player of KC, and I really don't think KC is back to the level that's required to win an OSL championship yet. I know a lot of players are talking about him after that nuke rush, and KC with a massive group of firebats. This is really last-ditch defending by him. That group of firebats he manages to survive that attack from GG Play. He's got about 12 firebats there, and I don't think that's really going to make too much of a difference. GG Play, meanwhile, is able to comfortably put up an Ultralisk Cavern, and his Ultralisk Cavern goes up. He's now dominating this map. He's got a massive economy. KC, meanwhile, venturing forth and picking off some of the lurkers on the way to that expansion down at the 7 o'clock position. But GG Play has got more than a decent sized force there, and GG Play sending in the Zerglings versus those firebats, managed to kill only a couple of firebats. Play goes off, brilliant play from behind. KC getting caught off by GG Play. GG Play coming in from the rear and launching a plague and catching off most of KC's medic and marine group in that plague, and he's going to force him back, and unfortunately for KC, he's going to have to wait for that plague to wear off. He's not going to be able to, and not only does he get the plague off, but the Defiler survives. And what a difference you can see it makes when the Terran player doesn't have a massive fleet of science vessels roaming the map, and really I think that's been one of KC's biggest mistakes in this game. And another plague, this time catching all of the medics. He's not got the science vessel, but it's not going to bother him, and this time he's going to use the Zerglings as a shield, and that science vessel is going to struggle to survive. He's not going to be able to micro well enough here because that medic and marine group is getting slaughtered as it is by the Zerglings, and now those medics are going to die as well, and KC unable to save his group, and he's going to lose all the ground forces. He's lost the science vessel as well, and he's lost all of his ground force. I'm sure he's rebuilt a decent sized force on the ground, but GG Play cementing his position in the game. Now KC popping out a couple of science vessels. He's got about 3 science vessels. Why they weren't out there spamming Irradiate, I don't know, but the fact that he's allowing GG Play to cast Plague at will, and personally I think in the kind of game we've seen thus far in this game, I think even Savior would have been able to beat KC, and I don't mean even, I think in the form that Savior is in now, and GG Play is actually, with that group of Zerglings, going to find that expansion, and actually going to stop it from being completed, taking out that SCV, and now hammering away with those 4 Zerglings at that expansion down at the 5 o'clock position, and huge trouble for KC here. And now he's going to get all of those SCVs cut off by the Zerglings. If the SCV can slow those Zerglings down enough for the lurkers to take them out, KC would have been in huge trouble, but actually he manages to pull them out, and now he's got his 3 science vessels. They're unprotected. They're going to get taken out. He's lost one of the science vessels. Oh, clever play by KC. He uses his own science vessel, Irradiated, to take off the rest of the Scourges. The Defiler manages to get a plague off on those medic and marines, but unable to get a swarm off. But nevertheless, GG Play has gotten those lurkers down. KC trying to get that expansion up, and he's not microing those SCVs of his there from that 5 o'clock expansion, because the SCVs moving out, and another dropship gets taken out by GG Play. Effective Scourge use, and you can see what a huge difference good Scourge micro makes in a game like this, and KC just left amassing those science vessels too little too late, I'm afraid, and KC really doing a little of everything and too much of nothing. He went for the 2 racks build, wasn't able to get any StarCraft capital, any aggressive capital out of it. Then he went for the command center and let GG Play to kind of really expand and establish himself. And GG Play really with the perfect build, and I think 12 hatch is going to be the way to go for Zerg players on this map. I think, considering the way the map is designed, I think a Zerg player would have to commit himself with 12 hatch while keeping an eye out to make sure that their opponent doesn't catch them off with some sort of cheesy strategy, scouting aggressively, scouting early. But GG Play is going to take this game comfortably in the end. A pounding victory against KC. KC's now got a massive group of, well, not a massive, but a medium-sized group of about 5 science vessels. He's managed to irradiate most of those Ultralisks, but he just doesn't have the ground forces to back it up. And GG Play with a massive group of Ultralisks is now going to take out that expansion at the 3 o'clock position of KC's, and GG Play now just really going for the kill here, not really worrying about how many units he loses, and that medic and marine group just not strong enough to withstand the power of GG Play's units, and even despite the Ultralisk being irradiated, GG Play is just going to waltz in and just take out KC's forces, and now his forces marauding through, GG Play's forces marauding through while Zerglings swarm from all over the map, heading towards KC's National Expo. He's trying to block off the ramp with those SCVs and fight desperately here. GG Play losing another Ultras, but it's not going to bother him. KC's economy in tatters. He's lost the expansions down at the 5 o'clock as well as the Natural Expo, and this is really going to be GG. GG Play takes the game. KC should really GG. There's nothing he can do here now, guys. This is Klazart. I hope you've enjoyed this game of StarCraft. So if Jaedong can take out Backho in Game 4, he's going to have a rematch versus KC and a chance to put KC out of the OSL. So that's going to be interesting to say the least. This is Klazart, guys. I'm going to stop commentating. There's still a couple of minutes left in this game, but I think it's a foregone conclusion at this stage. And another plague, a couple of plagues catching the science vessels Medic and Marine Force. Casey desperately defending. He's not going to be able to pull this out, guys. There's no way he's going to be able to successfully defend this. So I'm going to stop the commentary here. I hope you guys have enjoyed this game. This has been a great game of StarCraft by GG Play, and he's certainly showing some sharpness, although he didn't have to contend with the most perfect turn play of the kind that we've seen from Flash, and that's what I would wonder is, would GG Play be able to cope with StarCraft play of that caliber? Nevertheless, convincing victory by GG Play. Casey taps out. GG, this is Klazart. Thanks for listening.